Hello, everybody. My name is Dylan Martinez. I'm the director of the Adapted Physical Education Teacher Preparation Program at Winona State University. My students and some of the current adapted PE teachers that I talk to have indicated that they would like growth and a quick training in writing standards-based IEP goals for adapted physical education. So that is what I'm going to hope to do very quickly and concisely as I can. So let's get into it and let's go through this. So a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about: how to decide which goal areas to focus on, how to decide which grade levels to draw outcomes from, what to include in the goal, and then how to go ahead and monitor that goal throughout the process of that IEP term. So your choices need to be based on a demonstrated area of need as identified by one of two things. One, a norm referenced or criterion referenced test, or a teacher created checklist that is preferably standards based. So if you're looking at something like in that standard 4 area, this is going to be a really good idea for you to do. So an example of a need area: a student scores well below their age level on a TGMD3 subtest. If the subtest they scored poorly on was a locomotor subtest, for example, find the skills they need the most work on and write standards-based goals that will further their proficiency in that skill area or that group of skill areas, like the whole group of locomotor skills, for example. Now, grade level outcomes, grade range selection. This is how I go about doing it. This has worked really well for me when I was actually a teacher. So some people might teach it differently, but this is how I teach my students to do it at Winona State University. If the students completed a norm reference test, this is very simple. What you're going to do, let's go ahead and make that bigger. What you're going to do is, if you tested a 10-year-old male in the TGMD3, for example, and his age equivalent was 7 years old on the locomotor subtest, based on your goals, a second grade or third grade level outcome could be appropriate for this specific student. Now, why did I select second or third grade? We don't want to select the age group they are associated with based on their concurrent age. If they're a 10-year-old, but they're not performing at the level of a 10-year-old, we're not going to write a goal based on a 10-year-old. Ultimately, we will want to get them there over the time that they are in adapted physical education, but we're not going to start there. At least I wouldn't, because if they were able to reach their grade level outcomes for the age that they are associated with, they wouldn't need adapted physical education services to begin with. So if on the TGMD3, their age equivalent was 7 years old, I use my little handy dandy chart over here because I don't have it memorized. I see that typically most 7-year-olds are in second grade. So then I go to the second grade level outcomes in the SHAPE standards book, and I draw from there. If they're a little bit above a second grade level based on my testing, I might do a third grade level outcome. Looking here, once an area of need has and an age equivalent has been determined, we can select the specific grade level outcome we want to link our goal to. So for this specific example, I'll make it bigger again. Let's look at S1E14-3, which in this case is the standard of throws overhand demonstrating 3 of the 5 critical elements of a mature pattern in non-dynamic environments. So in a closed skill, specifically for distance and or force. So if you look at the blue column, you go from third grade down, that is the specific standard, S1E13-3, that we are going to be basing this example off of. So now let's move on to actually writing the standards-based goal. A well-written goal has 6 elements to it: by when, who, what will they do, and you want to be very specific here, under what conditions, at what level of proficiency, and as measured by who. Those are the 6 things that you need to ensure are included in your standards-based goal. If those things are not included in your standards-based goal, it's probably not a well-written goal. We'll get to why that is later. So this is my example. Everything that you see that is underlined is fulfilling one of those 6 things. So remember, the standards-based grade level outcome that we are writing this goal in association with is throws overhand demonstrating 3 of the 5 critical elements of a mature pattern in non-dynamic environments for distance and or force. So with that said, by May 31st, 2025, Rowan will be able to throw overhand demonstrating 3 of the 5 critical elements of a mature throwing pattern as characterized by, and then I always list what the 5 critical elements are that they could achieve. Slide to target in preparation for throwing action, lead with elbow if throwing arm at shoulder height, step with opposite foot as throwing arm moves forward, hip and spine rotate as throwing action is executed, release at eye level with diagonal follow through across body for a distance of 30 feet, which is trying to accomplish that distance aspect or force aspect of the specified grade level outcome. on 6 of 10 attempts using a baseball-sized foam ball as measured by the adapted PE teacher. Now, there's a lot there. Let's break it down even further. When you write a specific grade level outcome-based goal, you want to be as specific as possible. So let's look at how specific I was here. A baseball-sized foam ball. If you just said a ball for a distance of 30 feet, that could be a basketball. It could be a bouncy ball that's the size of a pea. We want to be as specific as possible so that it's replicatable over and over again for that specific student. The distance, if we are looking at force, personally, I might think 100-foot throw is really good, right? But for this specific student, another teacher might come in and say a 30-foot throw is really good. So you need to determine what is a successful throw for distance for that specific student and write it into the goal. On how many attempts will they demonstrate 3 of the 5 critical elements? And how many of the attempts will they hit that 30-foot distance goal? On those 6 of 10 attempts, they need to hit 30 feet of distance, and they need to demonstrate 3 of the 5 critical elements in order for it to be a success. Now, being specific makes monitoring these goals very easy, ensuring monitoring by creating a checklist that can be used during APE lessons. So not every time you are monitoring their progress towards this goal, you're having them set up and throw for distance. You can just create a checklist with all 5 critical elements of the throw. And then as they're playing in a small sided game, or maybe you just have an adapted PE lesson where they're throwing, you can be watching them and they don't even need to know that you're assessing. You can just be checking off the areas that they're getting better in, specifically the critical elements. Why do we do it this way? Why are we so specific? Why do we use standards-based goals? We want to be as specific as possible so that if we leave the school, the next APE teacher can confidently pick up right where we left off. So my first adapted PE job, I was there for 1 year and then I left. I made sure that all the goals that I wrote, anybody, no matter their length in the profession of adapted PE, could come in and pick up the goals that I had written for my students that year. Because when I came in, the goals that I had to work off of were very nebulous and they were very unspecific, for as simple as I can put it. Secondly, taking language right out of the standards book ensures we are incorporating best practice-based goals and can hopefully catch our APE students up faster to their same age non-disabled peers. All right, so here's my challenge to you. You are to write a standards-based goal with all 6 of the critical elements that we talked about earlier in the presentation based on the following grade level outcome. So S1, E21, 2. S1 just means standard 1. E means elementary, and this is the 22nd standard 1 elementary school goal, and 2 means 2nd grade, if you didn't know all that already. Using a continuous running approach and kicks a moving ball, demonstrating 3 of the 5 critical elements of a mature pattern. So that is your challenge. Now, this link that I have posted right here is what I use to pull all of my critical elements from. It's a really good bank. It has locomotor, non-locomotor movements that are very easy to pull from. All right. So with that said, I hope that was somewhat comprehensible. And I hope that makes your life easier as you are writing standard-based goals for your adaptive physical education students. Peace.